Saab built some of the cleverest cars the world had ever seen. Then, almost unbelievably, the entire company disappeared. This was not another forgettable car brand making ordinary machines. Saab produced cars that looked different, felt different, and attracted fiercely loyal owners. Its cars were turbocharged, safe, practical, and unmistakably Scandinavian. For decades, Saab appeared to have everything required to survive. So how did a company this innovative collapse while far less remarkable brands lived on? The answer begins not on a road, but in the sky. Saab was founded in Sweden in 1937 to manufacture military aircraft as Europe prepared for war. Its engineers learned to obsess over aerodynamics, structural strength, weight, and safety. In an aircraft, inefficient design is not merely inconvenient, it can be fatal. When the Second World War ended, Sweden no longer needed combat aircraft on the same scale. Saab needed a completely new product. The company decided to build a car, despite most of its engineering team having almost no experience designing one. That inexperience became an advantage. Saab's engineers were not restricted by the conventions followed by established car manufacturers. Their first experimental car, the Saab, appeared in 1947. Its smooth, rounded body looked more like an aircraft wing than a conventional family car. The shape was tested for low aerodynamic drag, helping it move efficiently through the air and remain stable in Sweden's brutal weather. In 1949, the production Saab 92 arrived. It was compact, front-wheel drive, and designed to cope with snow-covered Scandinavian roads. Rally victories with the Saab 96 proved that a small, unconventional car could defeat larger rivals, and gave the company genuine engineering credibility. Then, during the 1960s, Saab began work on the car that would transform its reputation. The Saab 99 arrived in 1968, with a wraparound windscreen, excellent visibility, and a body engineered around occupant protection. Its ignition switch sat between the front seats. That reduced knee injuries in a collision, and allowed the key to lock the transmission. It looked strange to outsiders. To Saab drivers, it made complete sense. Saab introduced headlamp washers, heated seats, and advanced impact protection long before many buyers expected such features in a family car. But its most important breakthrough came when Saab's engineers examined a technology still associated with temperamental racing machinery: turbocharging. Early turbo engines often delivered power suddenly and unpredictably. Saab wanted something smoother, useful, and reliable enough for everyday driving. In 1978, the Saab 99 Turbo changed the industry's perception of turbocharged road cars. It offered the economy and practicality of a smaller engine, then delivered serious performance when the driver pressed the accelerator. Suddenly, a sensible Swedish hatchback could embarrass traditional sports cars, while carrying a family and their luggage. The turbocharger became central to Saab's identity. It was not decoration or marketing theater. It genuinely changed how the car performed. That formula reached its most famous form in the Saab 900, launched for the 1979 model year. The 900 had a long curved windscreen, a clamshell bonnet, and an aircraft-inspired dashboard angled towards the driver. The 900 was fast, comfortable, and enormously practical, with controls positioned according to how frequently drivers needed them. It became particularly popular among architects, doctors, academics, and creative professionals, who rejected predictable German luxury cars. Owning a Saab communicated something different. It suggested that the buyer valued intelligence, independence, and function over obvious displays of wealth. By the 1980s, Saab had built one of the strongest cult followings in the automotive world. Yet beneath that distinctive image sat a dangerous problem. Saab remained a comparatively small manufacturer in an industry becoming brutally expensive. Larger competitors spread development costs across millions of cars. Saab's obsession with unique engineering made every new model painfully expensive. The very independence that made Saab desirable was slowly making it financially vulnerable. In 1989, General Motors purchased half of Saab's car division. On paper, the deal looked like the solution Saab desperately needed. GM brought money, global purchasing power, and access to existing platforms. Saab brought engineering credibility and a loyal premium audience. The partnership produced the new Saab 900 in 1994, using foundations shared with the Vauxhall and Opel Vectra. However, Saab's engineers refused simply to attach a different badge. They reportedly changed extensive parts of the platform to meet their own standards. They strengthened structures, altered suspension, redesigned safety systems, and reworked components that GM expected them to leave alone. The result still felt recognizably like a Saab, but the intended cost savings became much harder to achieve. This conflict defined the relationship. GM wanted scale, common parts, and predictable profits. Saab wanted every car to remain unmistakably Saab. The Saab 9-5 arrived in 1997, with strong turbo engines, excellent seats, and the distinctive night panel dashboard function. The smaller 9-3 followed, and both retained devoted buyers, but neither model sold in the numbers GM required. In 2000, General Motors purchased the remaining half of Saab. The Swedish company was now under complete American control. GM attempted to broaden the range quickly, but some decisions weakened the authenticity Saab owners valued. The Saab 9-2X was based heavily on the Subaru Impreza. Although competent, critics dismissed it as a rebadged Subaru. The larger 9-7X shared its basic construction with American SUVs from Chevrolet and GMC. It felt even further removed from Saab's Scandinavian roots. They reduced development costs but confused the brand. Saab was becoming less distinctive, precisely when distinctiveness was its greatest advantage. Meanwhile, the core 9-3 and 9-5 remained on sale for too long without sufficiently modern replacements. Saab was trapped. Creating unique cars cost too much, but sharing ordinary GM products damaged the reason customers chose Saab. Then, the global financial crisis arrived. In 2008, collapsing vehicle sales pushed General Motors towards bankruptcy. Every unprofitable division faced intense scrutiny. Saab had lost money repeatedly and sold fewer than 100,000 cars in many years. GM decided it could no longer justify supporting it. Potential buyers appeared and withdrew. Then a tiny Dutch sports car manufacturer offered Saab one final chance. Spyker Cars, led by Victor Müller, completed its purchase of Saab from GM in February 2010. The deal inspired hope. Saab had revealed a striking new 9-5, and enthusiasts believed the company had recovered its independence. But Saab needed enormous working capital, stable suppliers, and rising sales. Spyker was tiny compared with the industrial giant required. The new 9-5 received praise for its design, but production volumes remained weak. There was not enough money coming in. By early 2011, suppliers stopped delivering components because unpaid bills were accumulating. Production at Saab's Trollhättan factory repeatedly halted. Silent assembly lines became the clearest sign that time was running out. Management searched desperately for new investment, including potential agreements involving Chinese automotive companies. But General Motors still controlled licenses for important technology used in Saab's cars. GM refused to approve deals that could transfer its intellectual property to potential competitors. Without that approval, the rescue plans collapsed. Saab could no longer pay its workers or restart sustained production. On the 19th of December 2011, Saab Automobile filed for bankruptcy in Sweden. A company born from aircraft engineering, celebrated for turbocharging and loved for refusing to follow convention, had finally run out of road. The remains were later purchased by National Electric Vehicle Sweden, known as Rivets. Limited production and electric car plans followed. But trademark restrictions meant the original Saab automotive era was effectively over. Today, surviving Saabs remain passionately maintained by owners, clubs, and specialist garages across the world. Their appeal has arguably grown, because modern cars increasingly share platforms, screens, and similar designs. A classic Saab still feels as though it was designed around a clear set of beliefs, rather than a corporate focus group. Its failure was not caused by one terrible car or one foolish decision. Saab was squeezed between the cost of being different and the consequences of becoming ordinary. It needed the resources of a global corporation, but corporate efficiency gradually weakened the individuality that customers were buying. By the time independence returned, the company lacked the money and scale required to survive. Saab therefore remains one of the automotive industry's greatest contradictions. A brand admired for doing things differently, yet destroyed by what that difference cost. Perhaps that is why its disappearance still matters. Saab did not merely make transport, It proved that a car could express an entirely different way of thinking. If you could bring back one discontinued car brand, would you choose Saab? Tell us in the comments and explain which model deserves another chance. Subscribe for more stories about the brilliant cars, bold engineering and disastrous decisions that changed the automotive world.